Springtime is here. That means that the pokeweed plant is ready for picking for poke salad. Let me show you how to use this for food, healing the body, as well as healing the spirit. I always tell y'all that healing is literally right in your backyard. So stay tuned. So right here we have a young pokeberry plant. It's also called Phytolacca americana, or the common pokeweed. And yes, you're probably used to seeing her with her berries when she's fully mature. She tends to grow in the south and the east coast to the central areas of the United States. Now, the reason I love her is because she's highly medicinal. She's great for HIV, herpes, cancer, swollen lymph nodes, breast issues as far as congested ducts, ulcer. She's also been used to dye things. Now in the springtime, she's going to have a mainly green stem, but as she matures, it turns purple and her leaves are going to be green. They tend to be very tender, almost like a young spinach. So I am harvesting a couple of the young shoots. And one thing I will say is, if you're new to this, make sure you wear gloves because some people can be allergic to the actual liquids. Also, you see I'm breaking at the stem and not the root. When you break at the stem, they're going to come back up. And as you can see, be careful with getting the juice on your hands. Even if you know you're not allergic to it, just be careful because the juice is very potent. So we're back home. And one thing I like to do when I forage my plants, I like to cleanse them in some water with a little baking soda and a little white vinegar. This ensures that I'm getting off the grime and dirt and obviously the little critters. Now, there's multiple ways you can cut or tear these greens. Sometimes I like to just tear them by the leaf, and sometimes I like to chop them with the stems included. When they're young like this, you can eat the stems. A lot of people actually cut the stems separately, bread it, and fry it like okra. I've never done that before, but I heard that it was really delicious. I'm going to simply saute these, but I do like to get a little bit of the stem in there. And as you can see, I have some cutting scissors and I'm just going to cut them just kind of like you would do a collard green or some cabbage. These leaves are very tender, so you don't have to cut them that small. They're going to cook pretty evenly. Now, poke greens are a southern old school recipe. They're great for deworming. They come up for the spring and they're great for removing parasites. They're great for cleansing the blood as well as building the blood. Remember, springtime is technically the new year, and this is when you were going to get these herbs and these plants that kind of rejuvenate and bring the body back to life. Winter was all about hibernating and staying low. Springtime, the true new year, is all about energetic, coming up, thriving. Now I have a good sized pot of water getting ready to boil, and while I'm waiting for that to start, I'm going to show you my pokeberry and my poke root tincture that I made last year. As you can see, the poke root tincture is gone but the pokeberry one is very well and full. Also, because pokeweed is one of my favorite plants, I did include it in the Divine Herbalism book that is written by me, your favorite herbalist. But yes, we talk about the edible uses, the common uses, herbal uses, medicinal properties. We also talk about the energetic and magical properties of plants. Remember, plants are living things. They're multidimensional just like you. Right here, I'm cutting some of the stem, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mash up some of this and add it to some castor oil and some neem oil to kind of create a quick infused oil. Now, I will let you know, whenever you're doing infused oils, you want your herbs to be semi-dry or all the way dried. Because I'm using fresh herbs, the shelf life of this oil is not going to be long. It's probably less than 7 days. Whenever you're using fresh herbs that haven't dried out or at least sat for 1 or 2 days, it's going to make your oils go rancid pretty quickly. However, I'm just making a little bit of oil to put on a swollen lymph node I have because I was bit by a tick, y'all. Yes, a little nasty tick bit me. So I'm just making some quick oil that I'm going to be using for the next 7 days. And yes, the stem is full of that medicinal goodness. It's not as potent as the root, which is a good thing because we want to be a little bit more gentle. However, it's going to be great for putting directly on tumors and cysts and swollen lymph nodes to get them draining and breaking up. So as you can see right here, I'm adding the stem directly to a jar. And I'm going to go ahead and add some 100% castor oil and some neem oil. Now, I also want to tell y'all that this oil that I'm making, not only is it great for putting on the skin, but also it's great for spiritual uses. Pokeweed is great for removing negative energy as well as protecting you from negative energies, as well as neem. Both of these are highly anti-parasitic. Whenever we have anti-parasitic herbs, they also are going to have a spiritual and energetic property of protection, removing negativity, removing unwanted energy. So this is an oil that, one, you can anoint your body with, but you can anoint your doorway and your bedroom and your windows with as well. Remember, whenever we're using herbs for spiritual uses, we will speak our intention over them. Me, I do intentions whether I'm using it for medicinal or spiritual reasons. Whenever we speak intent, we're adding power to these plants and we're navigating the plant to do what we want it to do. Right here, I'm putting a little of the liquid on my skin just to show y'all. I would not recommend putting it just loosely anywhere. Only put it on tumors, lymph nodes, swollen lymph nodes, and things like that. If you do get it on your hands or things, make sure you wash it off. As you can see, I went ahead and rinsed my greens because they had the baking soda and the vinegar on there. I did a really good rinse. The water is ready, so we went ahead and added the greens directly to the pot. Now, there's a lot of different opinions on how long should you boil pokeweed. I only boil my pokeweed once for about 7 to 10 minutes. And as you can see, I have fresh water waiting in the bag. So basically, I'm doing like a blanching. So I'm going to boil it for 7 to 10 minutes. And then I'm going to put it in the fresh water and let it cool down. As y'all can see, y'all seen that brown liquid, right? That was all of the phytochemicals and things coming off of there. I went ahead and cut up some onions and a little bit of butter, and I'm sauteing the actual pokeweed with it. And don't forget to add a little lemon so we can help process that iron that's within the plant. Yes, vitamin C helps to break down plant-based iron. And this is the finished dish, and I love this dish. It's gonna clean you out too. I wanted to do commonly asked questions really quick because I know y'all got questions, right? So the most common question I get is, when can you actually use pokeweed? When can you eat it? When can you cook it? You will hear from most people that you can use it when it's about 1 foot high to 1.5 feet and no higher. However, through my years of research and my information from the elders and my own personal usage, I use the plant all season long. And I've seen people that use the plant all season long. I will say this, as the plant gets more mature, I would increase the blanching time. I would also possibly increase the blanching, not only the time, but how many times you blanch it. So instead of once, maybe twice. I recommend that because certain phytochemicals, they'll be a little bit more concentrated in the plant as it matures. Next question. Can I eat the greens raw? I highly do not recommend that. It has certain phytochemicals that will build up in the liver over time and can cause injury. Please follow directions, respect the plant, and make sure that you pre-cook it and do not eat it raw. Next question. can the children and the elderly have pokeweed? Yes, they can, and it's actually excellent for them because they tend to be immune compromised. So therefore, pokeweed is going to be excellent for protecting their immune system, moving their lymphatic system, as well as building and nourishing and detoxing the blood. However, make sure that it's properly processed so they can actually get the benefits from it and not get sick in taking it. So yes. Last but not least, people will ask, is pokeweed poisonous? We've seen so many negative things. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Anything can be poisonous when it is not used properly. Water can become poisonous when it's misused. So I believe in learning how to properly use these plants, respecting nature and taking your time to learn these plants, and knowing how and how much to use. When you process pokeweed like you need to, it's actually highly medicinal and highly healing to the mind, body, and soul. I would not recommend the root for beginners. I would leave that to people who are into doing a little deeper research and really getting to know the plants. For beginners, I would only recommend the leaves, processing those as food with the blanching method that I showed you, and the berries. However, with the berries, only 1 to 2 berries, they can be taken. Do not chew them. Do not chew the seed. Just swallow them whole, and they're great for inflammation as well as any type of like arthritis issues. Now, before you go, make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe.